Mike, it's good to see you. Very thankful for 15 years of the Sports Hangover.
It's been a long time, 15 years. We've aged a lot. If you watch our first year to today, we look old. We look a lot older, for sure.
That's true. I'm still in my parents' backyard, still here in Florida. I was at Thanksgiving dinner last week. The whole extended family. It was like 28 people at my Thanksgiving. A little bit too big, but it was fine. And someone goes, "Are you still doing that sports show that you did way back?" And I got to talk about the Sports Hangover. They remembered from like
Good.
15 years ago, and we're still
Good.
doing it. So downloads are coming from the Garrison family
Okay,
post
good.
Thanksgiving dinner.
We need that. Yeah, you got to tell like old family members and everybody just grab their phones, download the podcast.
You gotta do it for them. You're right. You gotta do it for. If you're over
Yeah.
60, do it for them.
Yeah, subscribe to us on YouTube, Substack, everywhere. Go do that right
Yeah,
now.
good luck
Yeah.
telling the family about Substack. Good luck
I
with
know.
that.
Well, you're back. You didn't watch more football. You're on vacation. You're just like living life as a nomad once again on the
Once
road.
again, it's happening by choice or by not. I didn't watch much football, but I did have a thought this morning. I woke up
Okay.
on Monday morning and I was like, man, what's it like to be a Chiefs or a Bills or a Lions or an Eagles fan? Because my team's not like those teams at all.
Your team's not like it. I was hearing rumblings that you guys should just fire your coach. Just get rid of him. Time.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
What are you doing these days? You guys aren't performing well. Tua keeps getting hurt. He's not like can't perform in the cold, which I thought he could. And now you're here.
First of all, they're a soft ass team, and this is how the NFL works. One year you are getting questioned. Wow, has there ever been an offense as beautiful as this one? Is this guy the biggest genius in football? The next year we want to fire him, and that's how the NFL is. It's a results business, so you better give us results year in, year out, or we're gonna call for your ass. And coaches are getting fired all over the place. We're gonna talk about Chicago and the way they failed your boy Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
but. The Dolphins, they're soft. They're a soft football team. They shouldn't have been in Thanksgiving. I warned you on the pod last week. There are so many bad teams on Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I know the Raiders almost won, but still, not good football.
I listen. I started reading. I subscribe to some other guys that are doing some Substacks where they like
Wait a
dive.
second. There's only one Substack, and it's ours.
Correct. The Sports Hangover is the number one Substack, but there are other guys that are doing like super deep dives on same game parlays and giving analytical data. So I'm like, I read this thing and I'm like, oh, I'm convinced because he doesn't send it out until the day of the game. So all the research, you have to like read it in the morning, get your bets in early morning. I saw it and I said, well, I called our mutual friend up. I said, hey, I just went 2-0 on the first two games. Let's go for the third.
This was a
let's jump on Miami.
mid-Thanksgiving call. You were like multiple bottles of wine behind you, still calling about the bets. This is not good, Mike.
I sent them a text. I'm like, look, I've been hot this morning. We need to roll. Miami. I even placed the alternate bet line of Miami -5.5. It was terrible. It was a terrible bet. I should have known. I should have listened to my gut saying they can't play in the snow. Do not bet on them. And that's what happened. So
It wasn't
I
just your
lost.
gut. It was me, your co-host. It was the manifesto. They are 1-7 under 32 degrees with Tua. That is straight up. That's not even covering games. He's never won a game under like 25 degrees. He
I know.
obviously has Hawaii blood. It's like it's just not going to happen. It's like asking me to succeed in Connecticut. They're asking a lot. They're asking a lot for Tua to succeed in Green Bay, and it wasn't going to happen.
I know. So, listen, I lost the bet, and we were talking before the show. We were kind of disappointed. Amazon Prime, Black Friday, football, kind of just a random. It's almost like you need that break to like go move a little bit because you were just so full. I watched maybe a little bit of it. I didn't have it on all day. You know, I'm trying to avoid the TV with the kid on. You know, it's all
That's
this
right.
like
That's right.
working around. I got my iPad like moving it around so he doesn't see it. But I didn't really watch much of it. It was just kind of like what are you gonna do? Like the game's on.
First thing is it's too random. It's 3 o'clock Eastern, noon on a Friday. Like no game is like that. I know mutual friend forgot to take a running back off the roster who was inactive for the Raiders. So like people are getting messed up in fantasy, probably not getting their bets in. Noon Pacific on a Friday. Like what is that
Weird.
about for a game time? Nothing else is like that. Of course, Christmas Day will be weird because we're getting 10 a.m. Christmas morning games coming up. That'll be weird. But at least it's a holiday. Black Friday is like not quite a holiday yet.
No. It's a shopping holiday, so you're kind of like, what are we doing here? Why is the game at noon? It would have been great for like a 4:30 or 4 o'clock start Pacific time, 7 o'clock. You know, like make it an evening like agenda instead of this midday. You're shopping. I think their goal was to get people to go and shop on Amazon on Black Friday.
Yeah.
So it's like go shop. But I was honestly disappointed with Black Friday sales. I don't know
Well,
if you
let's
saw
talk
them.
about it because I went
Yeah.
to Amazon on Friday
Oh.
afternoon during the game to buy
Headquarters
things.
or
And
online?
No, not to watch the game. I like bypassed the little pop-up banners to watch the
Yep.
game because it's like I'm not watching Aiden O'Connell with my free time on a holiday.
No.
I just won't do it. But I went to Amazon and was looking at deals. You're right. Everything was like 20% off. A lot of clothing companies, Mike, stepped up. I got some great deals for 40 to 50% off. Rhone, Marine Layer, a few of my favorite brands were giving good sales. You didn't see anything like
I
that?
love some Marine Layer. I just got their pants, if you can see on camera.
You know about Marine Layer. This is Marine Layer. Look at
I
us.
just got thrown.
We are
a
willing
Marine-
to be sponsored. So willing to be sponsored by this.
Yeah, they don't give many discounts on their website. It's only like 25% on Marine Layer.
Yeah.
But like J. Crew and other stuff, the Madewell men, they'll give you 50, 70% off.
Yeah.
But I just felt like everything else that you kind of really want, like these are like, I would like this, but I don't really need it. I feel like you have to wait, and I don't wait all year. It's like, oh, if I need a TV, I'm just going to buy a TV now. I'm not going to wait until Black Friday. And it's always TVs and accessories that you don't really need. So I felt I was like disappointed in most of the Black Friday sales. A lot
Including
of emails.
Cyber Monday rolling into today. There's still no tech deals that you like out there?
Nah, not really. I mean, did you get anything else? Just some clothes?
I got a bunch of jackets. I'm moving up north. I got
know.
a bunch of layers. I got a big winter jacket. It's a
Nice.
2-in-1. It goes both ways.
Wow.
2 different looks. So I was getting all the warm jackets going.
I can't wait for that snowy background when
God.
you're up there.
It's going to change a lot from this current background. I did watch a little bit of one game, actually. The
What game?
Steelers game yesterday. They
Yep.
turned out to be electric on offense. Who is that Steelers team, and what did they do with the old Steelers that we know?
It's Russ. He's just cooking again. 400 yards. He's out there. I was thinking about it the other day, and I thought, oh, Russ feels like, I'm happy that he's succeeding. Felt like an ex that you broke up with, but then you're like, oh yeah, you're almost like proud, like, oh yeah, you've really turned it around and now you're doing good again or something. So it feels good that Russ is doing it. I placed 2 weeks ago a bet for the Steelers to win the Super Bowl. I'm
What?
ready. I'm ready for the Steelers to win.
You believe that?
Listen, they're a gross, sloppy team, but if they can put on some offense, their defense seems unstoppable sometimes. They just
But they weren't.
destroy-
They weren't yesterday. They were like a
No.
team we never saw because their offense was clicking amazingly, and Russ is slinging it everywhere. That's weird. Then they also gave up 34 plus points. I think like 38 points. And
38
they almost
yeah.
lost late in the game. They had a chance to lose. So I know Mutual Friend and Steelers Nation not happy with the defense, but truly they haven't seen a good offense in so long. They don't know what to do with themselves with this beautifully functioning offense.
I mean, they're doing great. I mean, it just seems like they could beat almost any team that they want to try to beat. And I feel like it's a gross. It's kind of like it might be a Super Bowl we don't want, but it could be one of those like the Rams Super Bowl where it was like 3 to whatever. And I think that's how it could go. I just really like what the Steelers are doing.
Mike
I don't know why.
Tomlin wins a lot of games. He doesn't win
Yeah.
a lot of Super Bowls. So just
That's-
look out for
okay.
that. Okay, regular season, really good. I know I'm
know.
going to get some
I know.
hate mail on the Hangover hotline about this, but he's not a big playoff coach. He doesn't win a lot of games in the playoffs. He hasn't won since I think Mutual Friend was like still in grad school, I want to say.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since he's won a Super Bowl. We'll see what happens. The Chiefs exist. The Bills exist. I have the Steelers as a number 3 offense, number 3
Whoa.
team in the AFC. That means you're going on the road twice to go to the Super Bowl. I don't know if that's really going to happen.
I mean, they're doing great. Yeah, I listen. The weather too. It seems like there's a lot of snow this year. Last year, I felt like there was no snow games. We're getting snow games.
Is this
every
bad
week.
for the winter? Should I postpone my move and everything? There's been a lot of snow.
It seems like you're going to get a lot of snow. I'm excited just to see your background. That's what I'm hoping for. It's like great snowy backgrounds.
Great.
Did you watch any of the KC game where they kind of like could have lost the game, but the refs called it a certain way?
It's the
'Cause when we
same
were-
as it ever was, right? It's the Chiefs getting calls late in the game, and it shouldn't have gone that way.
But do you think it's like, are we just hyper aware because people hate the Chiefs so much? I kind of like it. I want the Chiefs to go back to back to back. I want them to win 3 in a row. Like, good for them.
Are you saying you're okay with the NFL rigging games to make sure the Chiefs go back to back?
I'm not saying they're rigging the NFL. I'm just saying it seems like everybody's very fixated on that they get little lucky breaks here and there. And I'm sure other teams do too, but it's like when you're a primetime game, the only game on, people are watching it, they're kind of seeing things happening. They're like, what's going on here? I feel like a lot of the, like, I bet we haven't watched a lot of like Tennessee Titan games because we don't know what's going on. We're like, well, what if there were mistakes in that game by the refs too? I think the refs make a lot of mistakes, but I just, you're hyper fixated on the Kansas City Chiefs. You are not hyperfixated on the Tennessee Titans.
We have lost Mike as an NFL conspiracy theorist. He is now just okay with what's going on with the Chiefs. He's okay with all them getting extra bounces, extra calls.
Yeah.
Mike, the Travis Kelce Taylor Swift thing went too far, and you've been inflicted. It's like the people who are too crazy about Trump. You're too crazy about the Chiefs now. You just root for them at all costs. Like, take a step back and listen to what you're saying.
Do you still have your Travis Kelce jersey?
Absolutely. It's coming in to Connecticut in the move,
Good.
and I will wear it throughout the playoffs because we know the Chiefs will be there.
There you go. Okay, we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
I do have like one other thing I saw before we get into, if you want to talk bets. I also have MVP odds. I wanted to talk to you about that. But I saw this. I wanted to see if you could comment on it. I don't know if you can comment on it, but I saw NBC is launching some AI version of the Manning cast, well, competing with the Manning cast. I don't understand what it's fully going to be. It sounds like it's going to be a Madden, EA, NBC Sports kind of AI generated something. I didn't know what it was. I kept looking it up. As you know, TSH does the Sports Hangover daily, and as that was getting prepped and being sent out, I saw this story pop up, and I'm like, what is this?
This was included in TSH Daily today?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I just want to know, do you know anything about it, and can you elaborate on what's happening with the AI NBC?
First of all, there is a great Chiefs-Texans game coming up on a Saturday at 1 Eastern time, 10 Pacific, 10 a.m. on a Saturday, Mike. They're doing this because the college football playoff is the same day, and Roger and the NFL refuse to lose any ground to anyone else. And so they are challenging the college football playoffs with random Saturday NFL games in a few weeks. This is a Saturday before Christmas. I know EA Sports is producing it. They're going to blend the Madden graphics, the Madden interface UI. Instead of the gameplay, you're going to see the Madden, how it looks on Madden. And like every play, it's like Mahomes completes a pass to Xavier Worthy. You're not going to see Mahomes in real life. You're going to see Mahomes in Madden complete it. And it's going to be like a different way with replays on Madden and like a completely different way to watch. It's not Manning cast. It's not that far. It's not like a true second screen. It's like an experiment. Video gamers. Cast. Let's see how this works. Very low stakes, Mike.
Because I think Amazon was trying something with that. It was almost like the Madden view, where it looked like a video game. You could kind of tune into that view, so it looked like, oh, this is me as the quarterback and me throwing.
Which I really liked, because I learned more about being a quarterback with that view. You start to recognize blitzers coming off the side. You start to have better vision. When we were at Cosm and we had that end zone camera, I was dialing plays up. I was my own Russell Wilson back there calling stuff out, and I love that angle. So anytime you get like more controls, Amazon does a great job of it. They circle the guy who's going to be blitzing sometimes, which is great, like I mentioned. I think more controls, more angles, more altcast is better for the consumer, because at some point something's going to hit, and like no one knows the future of sports media, but at some point something's going to work and be like, yes, this needs to happen on every big game going forward.
How do we get NFL rights to simulcast the NFL and do our own Manning cast version? Because I think that would be, I would sit there on a Sunday night and talk to you about the game, because half the time Peyton Manning and Eli don't even talk about the game. They're literally having a podcast on the side of a football game, because half the time it's boring. They're going to commercial breaks. I could sit there for 2.5 hours and do a show, 3 hours, whatever it is.
I agree, and we're more entertaining than Eli Manning, but I don't know if we have the prestige that the Manning boys do.
We
don't have a son at the University of Texas playing quarterback right now.
Not yet.
When James Benatar gets to be a college quarterback, I think we'll have the gravitas finally to do our own altcast.
Great. Just when we do 45 years of the Sports Hangover. That's great.
Exactly.
Good.
Before we move off Thanksgiving, Mike, a few more things I want to run down for you, because I did watch football on Thanksgiving. One thing is, it was Tom Brady's final dagger as a broadcaster. That man is donezo as a broadcaster. He was finally on display for everyone to watch. We're all doing Red Zone on Sundays. We're all bouncing around. But Thanksgiving, that's when we all lock into this stupid Cowboys game. No one wanted to watch the Giants, but we did. It was a battle of terrible quarterbacks. And so we weren't really watching for the game, so you had an extra ear on Tom Brady. It was a lot of people's first chance to listen to Tom Brady. All the reviews were exactly how they've been all season long. He's dry. He's not entertaining. He's not having a good time. He's too rigid. It's none of the things you want from a broadcaster. I think we're in the final days. We're in the final months of Tom Brady's broadcasting career right now.
It's hard because they paid him so much. So what's the contract look like? How can you leave? Can he go to the broadcast? Can he go hang out with Terry and just do the early morning like pregame show because I think that'd be
You,
great.
you love that show. You bring up that show all the time.
I love me some Terry Bradshaw in
And
the
they
morning.
do have Gronk. They do have Edelman. It's like his
Yeah.
whole team. Bring in Belichick, and boom, you have a Patriots panel.
Yeah, Terry loosens everybody up. He gets everybody comfortable. You're hanging out. You're just talking with the guys, talking some football.
Yeah.
Tom Brady yells in the microphone like this the entire time.
Mhm.
You can't do that, dude. Just
No, it's
relax.
bad.
You're on TV. Take it slow. And
It's
that's-
Thanksgiving. We're all eating and drinking and just chilling, and he's like so intense. He's like having
I
a
know.
work day while we're all having Thanksgiving.
Listen, I know that he's invested into the Raiders. It could be kind of like, there's, theories out there that maybe he could go over and maybe be more part of it. That can Belichick go over there and be the coach? What happens? It's like a Vegas, they reunite.
You think they want to work together again? I thought they kind of had a bad marriage, a bad divorce after New England.
I don't think they did. I think, look. I mean, if Belichick was there, he'd probably be telling Brady not to do all the shit we're telling him to do, but he's not listening to
broadcasting.
anybody.
Yeah.
I think he does way too much prep.
Yeah.
Football. I'm sure I could we could probably pop us into any Sunday game. I'm sure we could have a conversation about some of the players. Maybe we won't give as many stats,
Yeah.
but we could have a fun conversation. And Brady looks like he's like doing like a research paper in front of the class. Like, yeah, and he has 300 yards. It's not good. So I
You're
agree.
so right, and also the play-by-play guy is the one who needs to know who the players are, identify the players, know the
Yeah.
stats. The analyst is supposed to tell us his experience. That's why they're always ex-players in that seat. Some are good at communicating, some are like Drew Brees, and not good at communicating. By the way, did you see he popped up on Monday Night Countdown a few weeks ago out of nowhere?
Who, Breeze?
Drew Brees.
Oh no, I didn't see
Apparently,
that.
he got an audition on the Dolphins-Rams game. He did the whole pregame show in L.A. because he lives in L.A., and they might look to bring him in. I know you're looking for Drew Brees' second act. You're waiting for this.
No, Breeze was bad. We all saw. I called it the first day he was on air. I'm like, this man's not gonna last on air.
You did.
You just gotta move through them quickly. I feel like there's a lot of sports guys like when they're good. I feel like they're usually good. Like Gronk, I think he's great where he is. He wouldn't be good on a football game on a Sunday. He needs that like
Yeah, you're right.
hour and a half pregame show. I don't know. So look where we are.
Listen,
Jeremy,
Brady
it got
was
so
a
dark. By
It
you.
got
was
so
like-
dark. Can you even see me anymore? It's like during the length of the show, the 17 minutes we've been recording, it went from
It got pitch
sunlight to
black.
dark. I don't have all my lights on in the yard. We don't have all
Yeah.
the spotlights that we should have back here. The big budget is failing us right now. Mike, the thing about Brady is I watched something he did with Bryson, the Break
Yeah.
100 with Bryson. Bryson's a big social media star in golf now, as we know. And Brady said he's looking forward to his next act after broadcasting. He said that to Bryson. A little strange to be in your first year of a 10-year deal looking forward to your next act. So again, I have him going to be a Raiders owner full time. Remember, Jason Witten was so bad on TV, he went to go coach high school football
Yeah.
in Dallas. And so you can go as far away as you want from the game. As long as Brady has something else lined up, dude's out of here after the Super Bowl. But we
Didn't-
do have to listen to him do the Super Bowl. which
Didn't
sucks.
Witten get like 2 to 3 years doing it before they finally like booted him out of there? Because we complained about the Booker Mobile era of Monday
Yeah.
Night Football for a
Yeah.
while, but that's when he was there. Felt like didn't he last for a few years?
He did, I think. That was a weird era. That was
Yeah.
just such a
That's
strange
so
era.
weird. No one
But
knew what
Witten-
to do.
Witten left very quickly. ESPN, I remember, did like they had this huge list of people when it was time for Jason Witten and Booker. I remember the story. They had a huge list of people.
Yeah.
They got it down to 10 people, and they're like, okay, we have our 10. Now everyone go to Joe Testator's house in New Jersey, call a practice game, have an Italian dinner with him, and then Joe's going to tell us who the best
Whoa.
one is. So they sent 10 people, probably Drew Brees and Ray Lewis and all these people down to Joe Testator's house. They call the game, they have dinner, and Joe Test comes out and says, we got the next guy for the next 10 years, and it's Jason Witten. That just goes to
Interesting.
show you how no one knows anything about
I
this
know.
whole broadcasting process, the way they gave Brady so much money, the way all these guys come in and suck at first. You just never know. So you got to give out like short-term deals, see who's
Yeah.
good, and then pay them a lot after and see what happens.
Talking about deals, do you want to talk about MVP odds right now? Because it shifted quite
Yeah.
a bit. I
Where's
will
Caleb
brag.
Williams? Is he first or second?
Caleb, he's not on the list. He does not make a list. I do want to brag. I did get Josh Allen preseason during our
You
big
did.
two-parter, four-parter episode where I bet Josh Allen at plus 900. Josh Allen is currently leading. I know Barkley was leading a little bit last week. Josh Allen minus 200, Barkley
I mean,
plus 350.
Josh Allen caught his own touchdown pass last night.
I will say it's like the way they say it looks much different from what actually happened on the field. I thought this man was going to throw the ball up and literally catch his own ball. It was pitched back to him and he ran in for a touchdown.
Was it not so badass and so cool?
It was cool, but you could see it was like a broken play, but since it was so snowy, no one could tackle. So he was like kind of struggling a little bit and then just tossed him the ball. Could have went a whole different way. Could have been a pick six the other way, a fumble.
It could have been. I mean, the guy's doing everything is my point. He's surrounded by no one.
Is.
His only healthy people are no ones, and he's doing it
Yeah.
all. So I think you made a great preseason bet, and it's going to hit.
I will say I do like the Jared Goff at plus 1,000, so like 10-1 odds, just because he had that like one perfect game where he didn't throw any interceptions, but then he threw a lot other games. I don't know why he doesn't get talked about enough with Jared Goff, because he does perform well. It's just not a lot of love for him. It's like it's love for the team and the coach, but it's just not for Jared Goff, which I find curious.
I actually agree that he shouldn't be anywhere near the top two because Jared Goff to me is a system quarterback. It's like put in generic quarterback to spread the ball around, learn from Ben Johnson, have Amon-Ra and Laporta and Gibbs, all the toys. It's like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy with all the toys is Steve Young. Brock Purdy without the toys is Brock Purdy.
Well, we can talk about Purdy if you want. I got some bets this week if you want to move off MVP.
You know what? I've roasted Brock Purdy enough. I think the tape speaks for itself at this point. I don't know that I need to keep going on this rant. Niners fans will no longer be commenting on our videos because they have their own depression issues to worry about. Niners aren't going to the playoffs. And I thought of one thing today. How ironic that Christian McCaffrey's calf is going to keep him out of time.
It did look weird. I watched the video. I don't know what happened. They're saying like maybe it was his knee on the play right before that where he like hit the ice or ground. It could be kind of hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have a 4.3% chance of making the playoffs at this point. Wow. So I think it's all over.
Where J-Dog was right. J-Dog was nailing this early in the season, saying they're not going to make the playoffs.
People were hating on you. You need to go back to the comments and be like, what do you think? How's this look now? Yeah.
Standings picture.
By the way, I want to let everybody know all our bets we talk about will be in our Substack that comes out tomorrow morning as well. So if you want to subscribe and just get a list, you don't even have to just download it. And then, hey, I didn't get time to listen to the bets. They're in the Substack. You can go get that there. I love it. But I am taking the Bears in San Francisco at plus 3.5.
Wait, the new coach bounce, Mike. Is that real?
The new coach bump. I'm taking it. Listen, all their games, they've fumbled a win. That last play where Caleb Williams like killed 30 seconds off the clock and then threw just basically a Hail Mary where they could have kicked a field goal and tied the game. That was probably a coach's error because he could have called a timeout. Don't know what was happening there.
But it was also a quarterback error, the way he audibled. There's 30 seconds on the clock when he gets sacked. You have 30 seconds. Mike, we could talk for 30 seconds right now and run out of things to say. It's a long time. And the guy is like bringing people up. He gets a play in his ear. Instead of running the play, he's audibling. That's your first issue. Of course the coach should call a timeout. Why is Caleb audibling? If you've been playing Madden your whole life like us, you know you don't have time to audible there. You need to get that play off and get the clock stopped. They had the timeout. The clock hit 0. I think Caleb should be benched for that just as much as the coach gets fired. I think the coach is a scapegoat because 50%'s on him and 50% was on Caleb.
Do you think a lot of it is like, I always think back, you know, like growing up, you're watching like Peyton Manning audible all the time at the line. And I feel like sometimes when you watch these guys, you're like, I got to audible right now. Like that's the move.
Like it looks cool instead of being functional.
Like audible, like waving your hands in the air. It's like, I got to do this right now and win the game. If you won the game, it would have been great. It's like, oh, what a great audible. But
yeah.
Is time management. Madden time management. Go play Madden all off season and understand clock management. That's what I need. It's so
easy to see. It's crazy. Cliff Kingsbury was linked to Caleb Williams. I think he may have coached him at one point somewhere in college or something. He was interviewed with the Bears for their offensive coordinator. They said no thanks. And Kingsbury went to Washington to build Jaden Daniels into what he is. And look at what the Bears are doing. Whoever called that play that he had an audible out of, that's your first problem. And that was your OC doing that.
Well, I'm taking the Bears this week in San Francisco. I thought, listen, you could talk me out of it. I talked myself into it. San Francisco, they're done. Bears with new coach bump. They're going to play well. They're going to be smart. They're going to time manage the clock properly. And I'm taking them. Christian McCaffrey's out. Right before the podcast went up, Jordan Mason is also out. Don't know who the backup is, but he is there next week. Not good for Brock Purdy. I'm taking, and also they're probably beat up after that snow game. That was tough ground.
Long flight, Buffalo to San Fran after that. That's terrible.
Not good. Next bet, I'm taking Carolina on the road in Philadelphia. They're getting 12 points. I like how Bryce is playing. I know you didn't watch much football, but Bryce played really well.
I saw a
playing
highlight. I
Tampa.
thought they were going to win the game for a minute. Actually,
Yeah.
Baker came back to bring them to overtime and win it. But I was excited. The Bucks were going to lose to the Panthers. We're on their way to 5-7. All the Tampa folks were going to be so pissed. Still, the Bucks at 6-6 in that division, like they're clearly the best team. They should be playing better.
They should be playing better, but they aren't playing that. I don't know. I almost feel like sometimes teams are like sandbag teams where they play down to the level of the other team coming in, or Bryce Young is playing that much better, because I think after Andy Dalton got hurt, this is his like rise. It's like finally it's just me. I can concentrate on myself, and now he's playing well. He seems like he got that joy back in his life to play football again.
If that's what it takes, if it takes your backup 40-year-old Red Rifle being in a car accident for you to get the mental stability to play better, dude, you're not it. And the Panthers might want to draft a quarterback in the first round next year. Still.
I know. But yeah, I'm taking Carolina plus 12. It feels like way too big of a line.
Two bad teams to start with. It's one of those weeks, I guess.
It is one of those weeks. My next one, this is a gross one, but it's a dome game. Atlanta in Minnesota. I'm thinking, this is my theory, Kirk is benched. Penix is in.
No.
Minnesota -4.5 at home, playing against the rookie. This is just fading the rookie starting mid-season. I also have stats. Rookies, QB starting mid-season, historically they struggle. Only a 40% win rate on the game, so you have a 60% chance of at least winning the game. Minnesota does. So I kind of like that stat. I looked up a lot of stats on like what happens when a rookie starts mid-season. It's not good. Everything's terrible.
I want Michael Penix Jr. walking through that door more than anyone. But have you seen that happening? Is that actually happening?
A lot of people were talking about it yesterday and then today, like the performance, how Kirk was doing yesterday, like throwing interceptions left and right.
He threw a bunch. He threw 3 picks. I get it. But I'm going to change your mind on this really quickly.
Change it.
This game is in Minnesota. Kirk Cousins is going home to the dome he grew up in. He threw so many touchdowns in that dome. Mike, this is a 1 o'clock Eastern game. This is what you pray for Kirk. This is for Kirk to hide during red zone when all the games are happening and not throw all these picks. I don't know how you bet against Kirk back on that field. He's thrown there so much more than Sam Darnold. He's the guy there more than Darnold is.
I like it. I just feel like if Kirk is rattled and there's somebody on his ass, I don't think he's ever had anybody behind him before. He's always been the guy that's like trying to get the starting job, right? When he was in Washington, he was trying to get the starting job. He's like, you know, you like that. You like that. That was him trying to get the job. Now that he's got the job, I think he's got a little too comfortable.
A few weeks ago, I asked you if the Falcons were going to win the Super Bowl. Now we're trying to bench him. I'm giving him one more week at least.
Okay. All right, we disagree on
that. By the way,
yeah.
We got in your den. You built a brand new podcast studio a few months ago, and we went in there in July and we cooked up a lot of takes for the NFL season.
Yeah.
J-Dog was hitting on his takes. I nailed the Sam Darnold. I nailed the Jets would be trash.
You nailed Sam Darnold so before anybody else even knew it was going to happen. You should have bet on him. Does he get comeback player or anything like
What's
that?
What's his MVP odds? They're 10-2. Is he on your list?
Is he on there?
Should be on there.
He's not on there.
Come on. Goff, but no Darnold? Come on.
It goes Goff, Patrick Mahomes, Hurts, Love, Mayfield, Daniels, and Herbert. That's who I put. After that, I was like, I don't need to put the rest of the guys on.
And by the way, I know you're doing your pick. Saquon Barkley won't win the MVP because everyone around him is a quarterback, and it's a quarterback award.
I agree. I don't think he's going to win. So I feel like Josh Allen's got it if he can just stay healthy for the next few weeks.
I mean, they won the division already.
Yeah, I know. I'm taking Jags plus 3.5 at the Titans. Two terrible teams. It's one of those weeks. I just had to target these teams. Listen, Mac Jones came in for Trevor Lawrence after he got his head taken off yesterday.
Oh my God, that guy should go to jail, right? That was terrible.
I don't know. If you watch it in slow motion, it didn't seem as bad as in full speed. In full speed, it's like, oh my God, you murdered the guy. But he did complete the tackle. He could have kind of like pulled off a little bit. But yeah, I don't think he meant to hurt him. I think it was just like, you see all these guys now faking the slide. I'm sure you can't fake the slide, so I don't know where you go with this.
Mike, you brought up the M word, murder. We are gonna see a death on the field one day, and it's gonna ruin football for everyone.
We already did.
No, he came back.
Well, but technically he died.
But then he came back. He gave Tua a concussion. He passed it forward. But I'm serious. We are going to see someone die, and it's because of plays like this. And so we need to stop right now and say, hey, when there's a hit so dirty on a quarterback, a guy paid this much, that means so much to the franchise, stop right now, like suspend it for the rest of the season, find your entire salary. We need to get very severe, or else we're going to be in a situation where guys are doing this. There's going to be a death. We're not going to have football for the rest of the year. Everyone's going to be very sad, and it's not going to be okay.
But where do you go though? Because if quarterbacks now know that if they're gonna attempt that slide, they're gonna pull off. What do you fine them for doing a fake slide? Because I feel like there should be a penalty flag for a fake slide if you're not gonna slide down. Because I felt
you can't fake slide. I feel like you can call 15 yards on that. Quarterbacks cannot fake slide. They need to give themselves up or keep on their feet, one or the other.
Okay, all right, I agree. Because I felt like Trevor Lawrence, he was going down, but they were both kind of flying. Like if you watch the video, they both kind of were already in motion, and it was almost like, how are you going to stop these two things going so fast at each other? Yeah.
I know they have helmets and shoulder pads, but like as a regular person, as a tough podcaster like us, can you imagine going through that and like living your life afterwards?
It was definitely more his head snapping to the ground, and he just saw him like this. He seemed fine after.
Yeah, a little fencing position.
Yeah, seemed fine after, but listen, this dude should not play the rest of the season. The season's over for the Jags. My Super Bowl bet on them is gone.
It's way gone. Still betting on them though. Still trying to recoup here.
I'm taking. Listen, I'm going back to Miami. I'm taking Miami at -6.5 against the Jets.
The worst teams I've ever seen.
Aaron Rodgers is done. He's done. He's retiring after the season. You called it. Aaron Rodgers. He's washed. He's done. This is the game. This is the game where it's like division. You're coming to Miami. You're playing Miami. Tua's going to show up. It's going to be hopefully warmer this weekend. Hopefully that cold front gets out of there.
It's cold here. I don't know. It's cold right now. It might help the Jets. Did you see the story where Aaron Rodgers refuses to get inside the MRI machine?
No. What?
He has been asked to take an MRI several times this year due to potential injuries, and he's like, no, I'm not going to go in there. I'm not getting the MRI. So he doesn't have any injuries because he's not being proven to have injuries. He might have a ton of injuries, but whether it's the way he treats himself medically or he thinks he knows better than the MRI machine, he's like, I'm not going in there. I'm fine.
Okay, good for him. That's a weird one. So he could have injuries that we don't know about.
That's the insinuation, and maybe that would we'd actually feel better for him if it's like, oh, you have a torn calf since week 7, but you won't get in there, so no one knows.
They could have beat the Seahawks yesterday, but they beat themselves, and Seahawks won the game, which very sloppy game. A lot of 100-yard returns, pick sixes, fumbles. The receiver for the Seahawks fumbled 3 times catching the ball off a kickoff. The dude should be cut right away. The dude should be cut
on a kickoff return.
3 kickoff returns, fumbled the ball 3 times.
How do you get the third one? How is he not benched before the third one? It's like you don't have anyone left. Pete Carroll would have benched his ass way before that.
Yeah, I would bench him too. All right, I'm taking Bucks at home, playing the Raiders. I don't know. This one to me is a weird game. I could go either way on this one, but I convinced myself, play the Bucks, take them. Vegas is not that good. We don't know who's playing at quarterback. Is it O'Donnell or is it somebody else? Taking them. I'm Tampa. Tampa shows up sometimes, and last week they did not.
Mike, I am woke to the Bucks' struggles. I am now watching the Bucks' struggles because they should have lost to the Panthers and they should be 5-7. And I am aware of it and I'm here for it because they've had a nice run. They got Tom Brady gifted to them. They got Baker gifted to them. They don't know the pain of having a franchise with no happiness. And these people just get free happiness all the time. And now you should have lost to Bryce Young. Your season's probably going to go up in flames in December prior to the playoffs starting. And I'm here for it. I'm just here for it.
Wow. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, so you're not on the Bucks.
No,
so,
I thought you'd go on the Raiders and fit the trend of the 5 worst teams in the NFL.
No. Going just playing against one worst team. You can't have all bad teams this week.
No.
That's all I got. That's all the bets that I came up with. It's Monday.
December always brings us bad teams in the NFL. The NFL gave them to us on Thanksgiving. I think we have a Browns Monday Night Football game tonight. Browns Broncos, pretty unwatchable. Yep. December never has good teams left. There's truly 6 to 10 good teams in the NFL, and there's 20 bad ones. And I don't know how you fix it. Maybe no more college football, send them all to the NFL, better feeder system. I don't know what it is, but we always run out of teams.
Well, it's also kind of like fantasy. People put all these fake rules in and rules, and it kind of messes up the league when you're trading deadline or whatever. Our fantasy league, there's always bad teams, and then it's we're trying to make trades for next season. I don't want that. I want fresh starts. I want Why do no fantasy leagues
But
anymore?
you
just have-
benefited from a trade for me working for next season. That was a perfect. You helps you this year, helps
Yeah.
me next year.
I thought it was a great move, but I just
Yeah.
feel like I like the redraft leagues. I think I just want to go back to redraft. These keeper leagues and dynasty and salary cap
It's
leagues.
too much.
I'm over it. I'm done with it next year.
And it's another example where if you just are smart on the waiver wire, so many running backs have popped up this year that no one ever heard of. Just be smart during the season. You can ruin your draft and be fine in fantasy.
Yeah, it seems like it. We picked up a lot of guys. I spent $70 on Likely and dropped them.
It didn't work out for you, but you're going to make the playoffs, which I can't say myself.
No. Good show. Check out thesportshangover.com. Subscribe to us on Substack. Just search The Sports Hangover. It'll be in the show notes here. You can subscribe to us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We're trying to get that subscriber count up. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which
That's
is
amazing.
big.
YouTube viewers for our show, if you haven't been watching already, if you only just listened to the audio, thank you. Now go over to YouTube and watch the progression of my dad's backyard go from very light to pitch black. In 30
Yeah,
minutes.
it looks like you're in like an alien spaceship or something.
That could be.
By
That
the
was
way,
2 shows ago.
yeah, if you are listening to this, all the conspiracy theory threads, something big is going to happen tomorrow, supposedly. So I don't know what kind of alien invasion will
That's why
happen
you wanted
tomorrow.
to get this show out today, just to make sure.
Yeah, just to make sure. I mean, yeah, if you're listening to the podcast or an alien invasion, we've kind of tried to give you a little heads up.
Yeah, heads up.
So, heads up. All right. All right, good show. See you.